vlog time, everybody. First of all, I haven't been keeping up with taking photographs of the strawberries because they don't seem to be doing very much. You know, I've still got as many as I had last time, and they still seem to be doing fine. But they aren't growing very rapidly at all now, which is somewhat of a worry to me, really. But there we are. I'm giving serious consideration to weeding a few of the stragglers out, but I want to see some growth from the plants I've got before I select, you know, which ones don't make the cut. So I'm going to leave it another week. Diary numbers for last month, it was 28, in fact, out of 31. That's the highest we've had this year. So that's fantastic. I may have had a bit of a bad month, I may have had a bit of a bad year, to be totally honest. But as far as the diary is concerned, things are being recorded, at the very least, I suppose. One other piece of good news, which you will know by now, the Fan Expo, the UFC Fan Expo that happened the other week, also held the ceremony of the induction into the Hall of Fame. Matt Hughes is now actually in the Hall of Fame, despite the fact that he hasn't retired. He's still fighting, but they have, in fact, inducted him into it already. He gives the impression he wasn't expecting it to happen quite so soon, but it has, so congratulations to him. And I know if you can read all about it on the forum, because we do have forum people who were there and saw it all. So you can go and look at that. Jojos fight, and this is also the bit where I'm looking into recapping how I did with the last week's MMA predictions. Jojos fight was the only one on last week's predictions, in fact, and the fight didn't happen. As far as I know, Jojo turned up to the weigh-ins to discover, like he did the last time, that his opponent had pulled out. I'm waiting for news to hear what exactly happened after that, and we already have Beej on the forum who is saying that he thinks he should fight Jojo next. I don't know about that. But there we are. There are two other things to speak about in this week's vlog. The first is just to say that I have not got the job at the crematorium. I think there was a bit of a breakdown in communication, really, on their side there. I think what they really wanted was somebody approaching the sort of ilk of a mechanical engineer. And obviously, I was not that sort of person, and in hindsight, after having their feedback from what they actually wanted, not that it was made explicit at all in the job description, very misleading, but there we are. I feel okay about not giving that job. Israel, for me, has always really been associated with a family, not really with a nation. And I think this is where people don't understand some of the biblical background to Israel. Israel's actually a family, and in fact the whole idea of Judaism is not that you convert at all. Judaism, if you're a true Jew, then you are actually blood-linked. It's a family. You're blood-linked to people in the Bible, going all the way back to Abraham. It really is supposed to be about a family's inheritance from God. It's not really about a nation-state at all. Israel is in fact a name. It's the name of the father who bore 12 tribes, and these 12 tribes were each given a bit of land by God to live on. And when they got there, the land was indeed inhabited, and they fought with the local inhabitants and they won. It's called conquest, and it gives you legitimacy to the land. When the Germans were defeated, when the Germans were defeated, the Jews could have gone home. And when I mean that home, I mean back to their scattered place all the way across North Europe. But they didn't. In fact, they used that period of time to petition, basically, for a home back where they were before the dispersion. And the young United Nations, if that's what you could call it at that time, which was basically America and the UK, said fine. They pulled out of Palestine, allowing them self-rule, Palestinian people, who then voted in a terrorist organisation. The world refused to work with them, and ever since, Israel has been using what is called siege warfare to try and protect themselves from daily bombardments that wouldn't be tolerated by any other nation at all in the world, that have been going on for years. One of the ways they've been doing this is by getting the help of Egypt to close off the southern border. And another very effective method has been to do what's called an embargo by sea, which is basically to stop the Palestinians trading with other nations, in the hope that basically you starve them out, and there's either a collapse in leadership or there's a revolt with the population, neither of which has happened so far. There was a number of ships that left Turkey recently with supposed aid. Now, this was not your usual aid convoy. It was not carrying aid under the banner of any particular humanitarian group at all. There was no Red Cross, there was no Tear Fund, there was none of that. In fact, the group I think responsible for it was the Free the Palestinians campaign. Not the sort of people who you would expect were bringing aid to the Palestinian people, but probably supporting of the government, and thus maybe carrying stuff that was not humanitarian aid, not at least as far as Israel was concerned. Now the attack, if you can call it an attack, the meeting of the two, the aid ships and the Israelis, happened in international waters. They were only 40 miles off the coast, so it depends on what you think of international law in that respect. I know that a lot of other countries don't have much respect for international law, so I don't really see why Israel should, when she's being tutored by larger nations who consider themselves world power and consider themselves, rightly or wrongly, justified or not, as being above international law. So the protesters, so to speak, were not peaceful. They attacked, not only with sort of knives and bottles, but they also tried to tried to steal the guns of the Israelis, and wondered why 9 of them ended up dead. I've always said, that you can be critical of Israel. You shouldn't look at her through rose-tinted lenses. She is overreacting often. She is a bit paranoid, but she does have good reason. She's surrounded by people who want to wipe her out. Anybody would be in that circumstance. I think in this case they were pretty much set up. I'm not saying that everybody on board was some sort of Islamic protester at all. I think it only takes 1 or 2 people within a peaceful demonstration to give excuse, to give rise to a bloodbath. I don't think necessarily all the people here are horrible terrorists. I think a lot of them are probably terribly naive, and the few people who were organising it probably knew exactly what they were doing.